Before the cataclysm of World War I, Germany enjoyed a period of economic prosperity. Its currency, the German mark, stood as a symbol of stability, on par with the British shilling, the French franc, and the Italian lira, each exchanged for roughly 4 or 5 to the US dollar. This was the world of 1914. Just a decade later, that world would be unrecognizable. By 1923, Germany was caught in the vortex of hyperinflation. The mark's value plummeted at a dizzying speed. At the height of this crisis, the exchange rate reached a staggering 1 trillion marks to 1 US dollar. Imagine a wheelbarrow overflowing with banknotes wouldn't even buy a newspaper. For most Germans, this financial tornado was a complete shock. Currency, the foundation of their economic lives, had lost all meaning. This hyperinflation, gripping the Weimar Republic from June 1921 to January 1924, was a national tragedy. In a desperate attempt to meet its obligations, Germany began buying foreign currency with marks, regardless of the cost. This, however, only accelerated the mark's decline. The Reparations Commission's demands for foreign currency further fueled the crisis. The more the mark fell on international markets, the more marks were needed to buy the required foreign currency. A vicious cycle. A brief respite came in the first half of 1922. The mark stabilized at around 320 to the dollar. International conferences, even one organized by J. P. Morgan Jr., sought solutions. But hope was fleeting. When these meetings failed to produce a workable plan, the inflation morphed into hyperinflation. By December 1922, the mark had plummeted to 800 to the dollar. The cost of living, a stark measure of the crisis, exploded. From an index of 41 in June 1922, it soared to 685 by December. An increase of more than 15 times in just 6 months. This economic freefall led to scenes that defy belief. Shopkeepers stuffed overflowing cash registers into tea chests. Food prices displayed in shop windows became absurdly high, changing multiple times a day. Bankers, tasked with managing wealth, found themselves counting bundles of nearly worthless banknotes. Mountains of discarded currency were collected for burning, their value less than the cost of paper. In a chilling illustration of this economic collapse, some resorted to burning banknotes for fuel, a cheaper alternative to firewood. One photograph from the era captures a man ironically crowned the king of inflation. His attire made entirely of worthless coins. Children, oblivious to the economic implications, played with stacks of marks, building towers and flying kites made of money. And in perhaps the most poignant symbol of this era, banknotes, once representing prosperity, became so worthless they were used as wallpaper, a more economical alternative than the cheapest paper coverings. This wasn't a decorative choice, but a desperate measure reflecting the utter devaluation of a nation's currency. Even the act of writing became affected. The phenomenon of zero stroke, a psychological condition where individuals obsessively wrote endless rows of zeros, emerged, a reflection of the mind-numbing calculations required for everyday transactions in this hyperinflationary world. The year 1923 became synonymous with economic chaos. The seemingly endless stream of zeros added to banknotes became a grim symbol of the mark's devaluation. 1 trillion marks to $1. Try to grasp the sheer scale of that number. It's a testament to the devastating power of hyperinflation. This wasn't just an economic crisis, it was a societal crisis. It eroded trust, fueled anxieties, and warped the very fabric of daily life. The images from this period are haunting. They show ordinary Germans struggling to cope with the extraordinary. A shopkeeper forced to use a tea chest to contain the overflowing cash from his register. A Berlin banker, surrounded by stacks of bundled marks, engaged in the Sisyphean task of counting a currency rapidly losing its value. Shop windows displaying prices that changed by the hour, sometimes even by the minute. Imagine the frustration, the disorientation, the sheer panic of trying to buy basic necessities in such a volatile environment. The sheer volume of worthless banknotes created surreal scenes. Piles of discarded marks, destined for the incinerator, their value less than the paper they were printed on. A woman using banknotes to light her stove, a more economical fuel source than firewood. These weren't acts of defiance, but acts of desperation. They underscore the tragic absurdity of a situation where money, the very symbol of economic value, became utterly meaningless. The psychological impact of this hyperinflation was profound. The term zero stroke, a newly diagnosed mental disorder, captured the anxieties of the era. Individuals, overwhelmed by the constant calculations required to navigate daily transactions, obsessively wrote endless rows of zeros. This seemingly bizarre behavior reflects the deep psychological toll of living in a world where economic stability had vanished. The simple act of buying a cup of coffee became a race against time, as the price could double within minutes. These stories, often hidden in the footnotes of history, reveal the human cost of economic collapse. They are a stark reminder of the importance of sound monetary policy and the devastating consequences when economic systems fail. The German hyperinflation of 1923 stands as a cautionary tale, a testament to the fragility of economic stability and the enduring resilience of the human spirit in the face of unprecedented challenges. Beyond the staggering statistics and economic theories, the German hyperinflation was a deeply human story. It was a story of families struggling to put food on the table, of businesses forced to close, of life savings wiped out in an instant. It was a time of profound uncertainty and fear, where the rules of economic life seemed to change daily. Consider the image of children playing with stacks of worthless banknotes. For them, these were just toys, building blocks in a world turned upside down. But for their parents, those same banknotes represented lost dreams, shattered hopes, and a future shrouded in uncertainty. The kite made of banknotes, a poignant symbol of the era, speaks to the tragic absurdity of the situation. What was once a symbol of national wealth became a plaything, a fleeting distraction from the harsh realities of economic collapse. The photograph of the man papering his walls with banknotes is perhaps the most enduring image of this period. It wasn't an act of vandalism or artistic expression, but a stark illustration of economic realities. When wallpaper becomes more expensive than money, it speaks volumes about the complete devaluation of a nation's currency. It was a desperate attempt to maintain a semblance of normalcy in a world spiraling out of control. The German hyperinflation wasn't just an economic event, it was a societal trauma. It eroded the middle class, fueled social unrest, and created an environment ripe for political extremism. The consequences of this period resonated for years to come, shaping the political landscape of Germany and leaving deep scars on the national psyche. The lessons of 1923 are as relevant today as they were a century ago. They remind us of the crucial importance of sound monetary policy, the devastating consequences of unchecked inflation, and the profound impact of economic instability on human lives. The story of the German hyperinflation is not just a historical footnote. It's a cautionary tale that continues to resonate with profound implications for our understanding of economics, society, and the human condition.